There we go. There we go. Okay, let me get my volumes readjusted here. Hubers, cards and more. How are you doing? First in the chat at 10:33. We'll see if anybody else pops in the same time as you. If not, you'll be my sole entry for today's free drawing. Not today's free drawing, the month of July's free drawing. Sorry there, Hubert. Hopefully you are having a good start to your week this Tuesday. This is the first day of the week for me. I know it's a Tuesday because I do my live streams, and it looks like the stream is working this time. I tried twice earlier. I can see the wheel. You can see the wheel. Oh, not yet. You probably see a reflection. Yeah, you might see a reflection in the baseball here. Here, looks like we do have 10:34, so you are the only entry. There you go. Now you can see the wheel turning in the baseball here. If you look real closely, you can see the wheel spinning on my holographic baseball and bat. There you go, Huber. No, I can. Yeah, you saw a reflection, but now you can see it because it is there. So let me get Huber's cards and more. I'll get your new entry in for today. All right. All right, so I've got that. Let me save it. So we are good to go there for our July 2020 drawing. Go back into the chat here. Not I can. All right. So boom, we are back in business here. So yeah, I do have, again, every day this month, if anybody wants to buy a mystery bag, all you have to do is let me know. Pay me to my PayPal address. I do have a link on my homepage for that. So I won't go into a whole lot of details on that. And whatever mystery packs do not sell out before the end of the month, I will be making a listing on eBay so they can be purchased there whenever someone may want to. So the only difference on that is I won't be able to give away the rest of the graded cards because I can't do that on my eBay listings. It would be a little bit more difficult to try and do have somebody choose a random free graded card when they're not here for me to open it and display it in the live. So other than that, we will be doing the baseball biography of Jackie Robinson today. We will be doing that today. And then after that, if there are any mystery packs that are sold and I can verify that they have been paid for, I will do that. You can probably see my reflection in the graded cards there. I see it ever so briefly. If you look there, you can see my head bouncing around in the background with my eyes. Right, the reflection's right on this one where I'm pointing to right now. I can kind of see it in the background. But other than that, then after that, we will get into most likely a Topps 2020 Topps Series 2 Hobby Box. This will be number 4 of 12 out of the 12 boxes in my case. So that would be what I have available there. And just so those that were wondering and stuff, I think I mentioned it in my last stream. I did go through what I did open thus far and did get a complete Series 2 base set. So now for the 2020 baseball year, this is the first time I ever attempted to try and do that in a very long time from when I was a kid, and that's complete the current year's base card set. So I do have a base card set for Topps 2020 of all 700 baseball cards. So most likely this year I will not have to buy the unopened Topps 2020 baseball card set when I do that history. When we get through the years, which will be toward the end of the year, I will highlight the 700 card baseball set for that. Tonight, Red Rob is in the house. Hey, Donner and John Fishman. Baseball should have a National Donald Day. National Donald Day. No, the only thing I'd like more is for more people showing up for my history lessons. But you know what? It doesn't matter if Trent and Huber and John are the only three in the chat. I'm still going to do my lessons each day. Again, every Tuesday I do a player biography. On Wednesday I do the Topps baseball card sets. This week will be the 1997 Topps baseball card set. I do have an unopened box of Topps 1997 baseball. That will be opened. I did go a little bit over because I was late getting on today, in case you're wondering why I haven't started my history lesson yet. But I will be getting into that in about a minute here. So, but just wanted to give you an update that I did complete my 2020 Topps baseball card set, the base set for the main Topps card set. Cards number 1 through 700 are in the books. So let me go ahead and do a refresh here on the chat so I know I'm caught up with everything thus far. And then we will get into the biography lesson for Jackie Robinson. This particular one here is brought to you by Cards in His Car by R. Posada. Okay, so he wanted me to do him, and what I've done here, since I do not have a whole lot of cards for Jackie Robinson, I do have this is one each. I do have more than this in my Jackie Robinson collection, but I only show when I do have just a few cards for a player. I tend to just go through and kind of highlight some of the cards I have in the set, and it's they're the only numerical sequence they are in is like the card number itself. That's how I kind of sort my Hall of Fame baseball cards and my large sets for like my Cal Ripken Jr., Ken Griffey Jr. that I'm working on organizing whenever I do find the time for it. So, sorry, I am back. I didn't know you left, Huber, but I'm glad you're back. So I'm going to go through these cards real quick, and then we will get into the biography lesson. And then if there are no mystery pack sales, we will get into the Topps 2020 Series 2 Hobby Box, number 4 of 12. Okay, so baseball's all-time greats, playing years for Jackie Robinson was 1947 to 1956. Then we got another Jackie Robinson card here. I believe it's these first two that do not have a card number on the back. So these are what I call no card number cards. I just noticed that on the back here. This one is actually a baseball legend set. And this one is card number 15 of 30. So this is not as actually, it just was hidden. I was looking for it up here and it wasn't there. It was hidden in the bottom down here. 15 of 30. But yep, so this Jackie Robinson here is a reprint for the 1953 Ultimate Series. Okay, Topps Archives, when they did a reprint of the 1953 set. Then we've got the Donruss Hall of Fame Heroes, Jackie Robinson. Then we've got a 1947 Upper Deck Jackie Robinson, General Motors, the National Bass Time. Okay, Jackie Robinson, outfielder for the Brooklyn Dodgers. This is from the Topps Baseball Archives, the Ultimate 1954 season. Just a reprint, not the real one. I wish it was. Jackie Robinson's Diamond King with the Brooklyn Dodgers. The Upper Deck Company, Jackie Robinson, Cooperstown Collection, 1962. Another Jackie Robinson, Cooperstown card from 1962 for his induction into the Hall of Fame, second baseman for the Kansas City Monarchs. There we go, a Jackie Robinson card here. With the Dodgers, Sporting News, the top 60 players. This is Upper Deck Century Legends. There we go, and Collector's Choice Upper Deck, 1947 to 1997, 50-year tribute card to Jackie Robinson. Another Cooperstown card for his induction into the Hall of Fame. Baseball Immortals, 1962 infielder, Jackie Robinson. Century Memories, September 28th, 1955, Jackie Robinson with the Dodgers. Upper Deck Century Legends. Then we've got this one here, a Jackie Robinson with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Then this is I think a newer set. Well, what set was this one? 2015. Jackie Robinson, number 42, retired throughout Major League Baseball, April 15th, 1997. The Jackie Robinson story, Call to the Hall. Okay. And then another one here. They had a lot of tributes from when he made it into the Hall of Fame. And those that know the story behind Jackie Robinson, enshrined in Cooperstown, news flashback. 150 years of fun. Topps opening day. This was from last year. Then a couple of these 3D type cards. A Year to Remember. 1947. The MVP National League 1949. And Do You Remember Ebbets Field? April 15th, 1947. Great moments in baseball. So just a few cards. Not a super big collector. I probably do have some other Jackie Robinson cards elsewhere, but these ones were easy to pull and get out of my Hall of Fame collection. So that's why I did that one. So next we will get now into the actual biography lesson for Jackie Robinson. Let me do a refresh here quick on the chat on my computer. Then also John Fishman said, I am working on my first video. We will be looking forward to that, John. Sorry, I'm back. I am getting together a package for you today. The Red Job. Hi, Huber. All right. Refresh there, and let's get into our biography lesson for Jackie Robinson. Jackie Roosevelt Robinson, born January 31st, 1919, and died October 24th, 1972. He was an American professional baseball player who became the first African American to play in Major League Baseball in the modern era. Robinson broke the baseball color line when he started at first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers on April 15th, 1947. When the Dodgers signed Robinson, they heralded the end of racial segregation in professional baseball that relegated black players to the Negro League since the 1880s. Robinson was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962. During his 10-year MLB career, Robinson won the inaugural Rookie of the Year award in 1947 as an All-Star for 6 consecutive seasons, from 1949 to 1954, and won the National League Most Valuable Player award in 1949, the first black player so honored. Robinson played in 6 World Series and contributed to the Dodgers' 1955 World Series championship. In 1997, MLB retired his uniform number 42 across all major league teams. He was the first professional athlete in any sport to be so honored. MLB also adopted a new annual tradition, Jackie Robinson Day, for the first time on April 15, 2004, on which every player on every team wears number 42. Robinson's character His use of nonviolence and unquestionable talent challenged the traditional basis of segregation that had then marked many other aspects of American life. He influenced the culture of and contributed significantly to the civil rights movement. Robinson also was the first black television analyst in MLB and the first black vice president of a major American corporation, Chuck full of nuts. In the 1960s, he helped establish the Freedom National Bank, an African-American-owned financial institution based in Harlem, New York. After his death in 1972, Robinson was posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal and Presidential Medal of Freedom in recognition of his achievements on and off the field. Let me get a sip of water here real quick. Rob says, you and John should do a video today. Oh, should do a video. Oh, you mean together? You mean John Fishman? All right. That would be interesting. I could pull up my StreamYard and we could do a collaboration that way. Oh, okay, Hubert, no problem. You just had time to pop in for a little bit. I understand. It's like 10 minutes to 1 o'clock. Let's see. Yeah, 11. Let's see. 11, 12, 1. Yeah, 10 minutes to 1 there. No, 10 minutes to 2. It's almost 10 minutes to 2 o'clock on the East Coast. Would love to do a video with you. We'll see down the road if I can work it out to try and do maybe some streams on StreamYard where I can bring somebody up on the screen with me and we can talk. I've done that in the past. I did that last year. I haven't done any really this year that much. I think once I might have done it with Robert, I believe. But let's continue on here with his early life. All right, family and personal life. Jack Roosevelt Robinson was born on January 31st into a family of sharecroppers in Cairo, Georgia. He was the youngest of 5 children born to Mally McGriff and Jerry Robinson after siblings Edgar, Frank, Matthew, nicknamed Mac, and Willa Mae. His middle name was in honor of former President Theodore Roosevelt, who died 25 days before Robinson was born. After Robinson's father left the family in 1920, they moved to Pasadena, California. The extended Robinson family established itself on a residential plot containing 2 small houses at 121 Pepper Street in Pasadena. Robinson's mother worked various odd jobs to support the family. Growing up in relative poverty in an otherwise affluent community, Robinson and his minority friends were excluded from many recreational opportunities. As a result, Robinson joined a neighborhood gang, but his friend Carl Anderson persuaded him to abandon it. John Muir High School. In 1935, Robinson graduated from Washington Junior High School and enrolled at John Muir High School, Muir Tech, recognizing his athletic talents. Robinson's older brother, Mac, himself an accomplished athlete and silver medalist in the 1936 Summer Olympics, and Frank inspired Jackie to pursue his interest in sports. At Muir Tech, Robinson played several sports at the varsity level and lettered in 4 of them: football, basketball, track, and baseball. He played shortstop and catcher on the baseball team, quarterback on the football team, and guard on the basketball team, with the track and field squad, the broad jump, and he was also a member of the tennis team. In 1936, Robinson won the junior boys singles. In 1936, Robinson won the junior boys singles championship in the annual Pacific Coast Negro tennis tournament and earned a place on the Pomona annual baseball tournament all-star team, which included future Hall of Famer Ted Williams and Bob Lehman. In late newspaper reported that Robinson for 2 years has been the outstanding athlete at Muir. starring in football, basketball, track and baseball, and tennis. Okay, let me check on something real quick here. Okay, that's why I kind of hear it in the background. I gotta adjust my volume down on my computer. You guys probably couldn't hear it, but I could barely hear it out of the side of my ear here. It was slightly, ever so slightly, not too annoying, but just it bothers you when you hear yourself talking in the background and it's not at the same time. So, alright, then we move on to Pasadena Junior College. After Muir, Robinson attended Pasadena Junior College, where he continued his athletic career by participating in basketball, football, baseball, and track. On the football team, he played quarterback and safety, and he was a shortstop and leadoff hitter for the baseball team. And he broke school broad jump records held by his brother Mac. As at Muir High School, most of Jackie's teammates were white. While playing football at PJC, Robinson suffered a fractured ankle, complications from which would eventually delay his deployment status while in the military. In 1938, he was elected to the Southland Junior College team for baseball and selected as the region's most valuable player. That year, Robinson was one of 10 students named to the school's Order of the Mast at Dagger, Omicron Mu Delta, awarded to students performing outstanding service to the school and whose scholastic and citizenship record is worthy of recognition. While at PJC, he was elected to the Lancers, a student-run police organization responsible for patrolling various school activities. An incident at PJC illustrated Robinson's impatience with authority figures he perceived as racist, a character trait that would resurface repeatedly in his life. On January 25, 1938, he was arrested after vocally disputing the detention of a black friend by police. Robinson received a 2-year suspended sentence, but the incident, along with his rumored run-ins between Robinson and the police, gave Robinson a reputation for combativeness in the face of racial antagonism. While at PJC, he was motivated by a preacher, the Reverend Carl Downs, to attend church on a regular basis, and Downs became a confidant for Robinson, a Christian. Toward the end of his PJC tenure, Frank Robinson, to whom Robinson felt closest among his 3 brothers, was killed in a motorcycle accident. The event motivated Jackie to pursue his athletic career at the nearby University of California, Los Angeles, UCLA, where he could remain closer to Frank's family. UCLA and afterward. So after graduating from PJC in the spring of 1939, Robinson enrolled at the UCLA, where he became the school's first athlete to win varsity letters in 4 sports: baseball, basketball, football, and track. He was one of 4 black players on the Bruins 1939 football team. The others were Woody Strode, Kenny Washington, and Ray Bartlett. Washington, Strode, and Robinson made up 3 of the team's 4 backfield players. At a time when only a few black students played mainstream college football, this made UCLA college football's most integrated team. They went undefeated with 4 ties at 6-0-4. In track and field, Robinson won the 1940 NCAA championship in the long jump and 24-foot 10 1/4 inches. And then belying his future career, baseball was Robinson's worst sport at UCLA. He hit 97 in his only season, although his first game he went 4 for 4 and twice stole home. While a senior at UCLA, Robinson met his future wife, Rachel Issam, born in 1922, a UCLA freshman who was familiar with Robinson's athletic career at PJC. He played football as a senior, but the 1940 Bruins only won one game. In the spring, Robinson left college just shy of graduation despite the reservations of his mother and Isom. He took a job as assistant athletic director with the governor's National Youth Administration at Atascadero, California. After the government ceased the NYA operation, Robinson traveled to Honolulu in the fall of 1941 to play football for the semi-professional, racially integrated Honolulu Bears. After a short season, Robinson returned to California in December 1941 to pursue a career as running back for the Los Angeles Bulldogs of the Pacific Coast Football League. By that time, however, the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor had taken place, which drew the United States into World War II and ended Robinson's nascent football career. Then we move on to his military career when he spent time in the military. In 1942, Robinson was drafted and assigned to a segregated Army cavalry and unit in Fort Riley, Kansas. Having the requisite qualifications, Robinson and several other black soldiers applied for admission to an officer candidate school, then located at Fort Riley. Although the Army's initial 1941 guidelines for OCS had been drafted as race neutral, few black applicants were admitted into OCS until after subsequent directives by Army leadership. As a result, the applications of Robinson and his colleagues were delayed for several months. After protests by heavyweight boxing champion Joe Louis, then stationed at Fort Riley, and the help of Truman Gibson, then an assistant civilian aide to the Secretary of War, the men were accepted into OCS. The experience led to a personal friendship between Robinson and Lewis. Upon finishing OCS, Robinson was commissioned as a second lieutenant in January 1943. Shortly afterward, Robinson and Isom were formally engaged. After receiving his commission, Robinson was reassigned to Fort Hood, Texas, where he joined the 761st Black Panthers Tank Battalion. While at Fort Hood, Robinson often used his weekend leave to visit Reverend Carl Downs, president of Sam Houston College, now Houston Tillotson University in nearby Austin, Texas. Downs had been Robinson's pastor at Scott United Methodist Church while Robinson attended PJC. An event on July 6, 1944, derailed Robinson's military career. While awaiting results of hospital tests on the ankle he had injured in junior college, Robinson boarded an Army bus with a fellow officer's wife. Although the Army had commissioned its own unsegregated bus line, the bus driver ordered Robinson to move to the back of the bus, and Robinson refused. The driver backed down, but after reaching the end of the line, summoned the military police, who took Robinson into custody. When Robinson later confronted the investigating duty officer about racist questioning by the officer and his assistant, the officer recommended Robinson be court-martialed. After Robinson's commander in the 761st, Paul L. Bates, refused to authorize the legal action, Robinson was summarily transferred to the 758th Battalion, where the commander quickly consented to charge Robinson with multiple offenses, including, among other charges, public drunkenness, even though Robinson did not drink. By the time of the court-martial in August of 1944, the charges against Robinson had been reduced to 2 counts of insubordination during questioning. Robinson was acquitted by an all-white panel of 9 officers. The experiences Robinson was subjected to during the court proceedings would be remembered when he later joined the MLB and was subjected to racist attacks. Although his former unit, the 761st Tank Battalion, became the first black tank unit to see combat in World War II, Robinson's court-martial proceedings prohibited him from being deployed overseas, thus he never saw combat action. After his acquittal, he was transferred to Camp Breckinridge, Kentucky, where he served as a coach for Army athletics until receiving an honorable discharge in November 1944. While there, Robinson met a former player for the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro American League, who encouraged Robinson to write the Monarchs and ask for a tryout. Robinson took the former player's advice and wrote to the Monarchs co-owner Thomas Baird. So as far as his post-military, after his discharge, Robinson briefly returned to his old football club, the Los Angeles Bulldogs. Robinson then accepted an offer from an old friend and pastor, Reverend Carl Downs, to be the athletic director for Samuel Houston College in Austin, then of the Southeastern Athletic Conference. The job included coaching the school's basketball team and the 1944-1945 season. It was a fledgling program. Few students tried out for the basketball team, and Robinson even resorted to inserting himself into the lineup for exhibition games. Although his teams were outmatched by opponents, Robinson was respected as a disciplinarian coach and drew the admiration of, among others, Langston University basketball players Marquis Haynes, a future member of the Harlem Globetrotters. Pop in the chat here. Nothing missed there. Let me get a sip of water. Then, of course, starts his playing career. All right, the Negro Leagues and Major League prospects. In early 1945, while Robinson was at Sam Houston College, the Kansas City Monarchs sent him a written offer to play professional baseball in the Negro Leagues. Robinson accepted a contract for $400 per month. Although he played well for the Monarchs, Robinson was frustrated with the experience. He had grown used to a structured playing environment in college, and the Negro Leagues' disorganization and embrace of gambling interests appalled him. The hectic travel schedule also placed a burden on his relationship with Isom, with whom he could now communicate only by letter. In all, Robinson played 47 games at shortstop for the Monarchs, hitting .387 with 5 home runs and registering 13 stolen bases. He also appeared in the 1945 East-West All-Star Game, going hitless in 5 at-bats. During the season, Robinson pursued potential Major League interests. No black man had played in the Major Leagues since Moses Fleetwood Walker in 1884. But the Boston Red Sox nevertheless held a tryout at Fenway Park for Robinson and other black players on April 16th. The tryout, however, was a farce chiefly designed to assuage the desegregationist sensibilities of powerful Boston City Councilman Isidore H.Y. Muchnick. Even with the stands limited to management, Robinson was subjected to racial epithets. He left the tryout humiliated, and more than 14 years later, in 1959, the Red Sox became the last Major League team to integrate its roster. Other teams, however, had more serious interest in signing a black ball player. In the mid-1940s, Branch Rickey, club president and general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, began to scout the Negro Leagues for possible addition to the Dodgers roster. Rickey selected Robinson from a list of promising black players and interviewed him for possible assignment to Brooklyn's International League Farm Club club, the Montreal Royals. Rickey was especially interested in making sure his eventual signee could withstand the inevitable racial abuse that would be directed at him. In a famous 3-hour exchange on August 28, 1945, Rickey asked Robinson if he could face the racial animus without taking the bait and reacting angrily, a concern given Robinson's prior arguments with law enforcement officials at PJC and in the military. Robinson was aghast. "Are you looking for a Negro who is afraid to fight back?" Rickey replied that he needed a Negro player with guts enough not to fight back. After obtaining a commitment from Robinson to turn the other cheek to racial antagonism, Rickey agreed to sign him to a contract for $600 a month, equal to $8,521 today. Rickey did not offer compensation to the Monarchs, instead believing all Negro League players were free agents due to the contracts not containing a reserve clause. Among those Rickey discussed prospects was with Wendell Smith, writer for the Black Weekly Pittsburgh Courier, who, according to the Cleveland Indians owner and team president Bill Veeck, influenced Rickey to take Jack Robinson, for which he never completely gotten credit. Although he required Robinson to keep the arrangement a secret for the time being, Rickey committed to formally signing Robinson before November 1st, 1945. On October 23rd, it was publicly announced that Robinson would be assigned to the Royals for the 1946 season. On the same day, with representatives of the Royals and Dodgers present, Robinson formally signed his contract. And he was not necessarily the best player in the Negro Leagues. And black talents Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson were upset with Robinson when Robinson was selected first. Larry Doby, who broke the color line in the American League in the same year as Robinson, said one of the things that was disappointing and disheartening to a lot of black players at the time was that Jack was not the best player. The best was Josh Gibson. I think that's one of the reasons why Josh died so early. He was heartbroken. Rickey's offer allowed Robinson to leave behind the Monarchs and their grueling bus rides, and he went home to Pasadena. That September, he signed with Chet Brewer's Kansas City Royals, a postseason barnstorming team in the California Winter League. Later that offseason, he briefly toured South America with another barnstorming team, while his fiancée, Issam, pursued nursing opportunities in New York City. On February 10, 1946, Robinson and Issam were married by their old friend, the Reverend Carl Downs. All right, then we move into the minor leagues. Okay, Cardinals fan, 1990. How you doing there, partner? Thanks for being in the live stream with us. And Dirt says, "Hi, Cardinals fan." All right, we got 2 people watching. We'll see if we can get to the double digits, as in always fashion, for when we hopefully open up the 2020 Series 2 hobby box. But on now with Jackie Robinson's biography when he was in the minor leagues. So in 1946, Robinson arrived at Daytona Beach, Florida for spring training with the Montreal Royals of the Class AAA Inaugural League. The designation of AAA for the highest level of minor league baseball was first used in 1946. Clay Hopper, the manager of the Royals, asked Rickey to assign Robinson to another Dodger affiliate, but Rickey refused. Robinson's presence was controversial in racially charged Florida. He was not allowed to play with his white teammates at the to stay with his white teammates at the team hotel, and instead lodged at the home of Joe and Dufferin Harris, a politically active African American couple, who introduced the Robinsons to civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune. Since the Dodgers organization did not own a spring training facility, the Dodgers controlled spring training compound in Virgo Beach, known as Dodgertown, did not open until spring of 1948. Scheduling was subject to the whim of area localities, several which turned down the event involving Robinson or Johnny Wright, another black player whom Rickey had signed to the Dodgers organization in January. In Sanford, Florida, the police chief threatened to cancel games if Robinson and Wright did not cease training activities there. As a result, Robinson was sent back to Daytona Beach. In Jacksonville, the stadium was padlocked shut without warning on game day by order of the city parks and public property director. In DeLand, a scheduled day game was postponed, ostensibly because of issues with the stadium's electrical lighting. After much lobbying of local officials by Rickey himself, the Royals were allowed to host a game involving Robinson in Daytona Beach. Robinson made his Royals debut at Daytona Beach's City Island Ballpark on March 17, 1946, in an exhibition game against the team's parent club, the Dodgers. Robinson thus became the first black player to openly play for a minor league team against a major league team since the de facto color line had been implemented in the 1980s. Later in spring training, after some less than stellar performances, Robinson was shifted from shortstop to second base, allowing him to make shorter throws to first base. Robinson's performance soon rebounded on April 18, 1946, Roosevelt Stadium, hosted by the Jersey City Giants. Season opener against the Montreal Royals, marking the professional debut of the Royals as Jackie Robinson, and the first time the color barrier had been broken in a game between two minor league clubs. Pitching against Robinson was Warren Sandell, who played against him when they both lived in California. During Robinson's first at-bat, the Jersey City catcher Dick Bouknight demanded that Sandell throw at Robinson, but Sandell refused, although Sandell induced Robinson to ground out at his first at-bat. Robinson ended up with 4 hits in his 5 trips to the plate. His first hit was a 3-run home run in the game's 3rd inning. He also scored 4 runs, drove in 3, and stole 2 bases in the Royals' 14-1 victory. Robinson proceeded to lead the International League that season with a .349 batting average and a .985 fielding percentage, and he was named the league's most valuable player. Although he often faced hostility while on road trips, the Royals were forced to cancel a Southern exhibition, for example. Robinson's presence on the field was a boon to attendance. More than 1 million people went to games involving Robinson in 1946, an amazing figure by International League standards. In the fall of 1946, following the baseball season, Robinson returned home to California and briefly played professional basketball for the short-lived Los Angeles Red Devils. Then we move on to the major leagues. Pop in the chat. Let me get a sip of water here. Looks like we're up to 3. All right, nothing new in the chat. All right. Hopefully you guys are doing well out there. Oh, come on. Sorry, my phone was acting up on me for a second there. All right, the major leagues. Let's continue on here. Of course, breaking the color barrier in 1947. In 1947, the Dodgers called Robinson up to the major leagues 6 days before the start of the season, with Eddie Stanky entrenched at second base for the Dodgers. Robinson played his initial major league season as a first baseman. On April 15th, Robinson made his major league debut at the relatively advanced age of 28 at Ebbets Field before a crowd of 26,623 spectators, more than 14,000 of whom were black. Although he failed to get a base hit, he worked and scored a run in the Dodgers' 5-3 victory. Robinson became the first player since 1884 to openly break the Major League Baseball color line. Black fans began flocking to see the Dodgers when they came to town, abandoning their Negro League teams. Robinson's promotion met a generally positive, although mixed, reception among newspapers and white Major League players. However, racial tension existed at the Dodgers clubhouse. Some Dodger players insinuated they would sit out rather than play alongside Robinson. The brewing mutiny ended when Dodgers management took the stand for Robinson manager Leo DeRocher and informed the team, "I do not care if the guy is yellow or black, or if he has stripes like a blanking zebra. I'm the manager of this team, and I say he plays. What's more, I say he can make us all rich. And if any of you cannot use money, I will see you are all traded." Robinson also derided opposing teams, according to a press report. The St. Louis Cardinals threatened to strike if Robinson played and to spread the walkout across the entire National League. Existence of the plot was said to have been leaked by the Cardinals team physician, Robert Hyland, to a friend of the New York Herald Tribune, Rutherford Rudd Rennie, and the reporter, concerned about protecting Hyland's anonymity and job, in turn leaked it to the Tribune colleague and editor, Stanley Woodward, whose subsequent reporting with other sources protected Hyland. The Woodward article made national headlines after it was published, and National League President Ford Frick and Baseball Commissioner Happy Chandler let it be known that any striking players would be suspended. You will find that the friends that you think you have in the press box will not support you, that you will be outcasts. Frick was quoted as saying, "I do not care if the league strikes. Those who do, it will encounter quick retribution. All will be suspended, and I don't care if it wrecks the National League for 5 years. This is the United States of America, and one citizen has as much right to play as another." Woodward's article received the E.P. Dutton Award in 1947 for Best Sports Reporting. The Cardinals players denied that they were planning to strike, and Woodward later told author Roger Kahn that Frick was his true source. Writer Warren Corbett and Frick's speech never happened. Regardless, the report led to Robinson receiving increased support from the sports media. Even the Sporting News a publication that had backed the color line, came out against the idea of a strike. Robinson nonetheless became the target of rough physical play by opponents, particularly the Cardinals. At one time, he received a 7-inch gash in his leg from Eno's slaughter. On April 22, 1947, during a game between the Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies, players and manager Ben Chapman called Robinson a black person from the dugout and yelled that he should go back to the cotton fields. Rickey later recalled that Chapman did more than anybody to unite the Dodgers. When he poured that string of unconscionable abuse, he solidified and united 30 men. Robinson did, however, receive significant encouragement from several major league players. Robinson named Lee Jeep Handley, who played for the Phillies at the time, as his first opposing player to wish him well. Dodgers teammate Pee Wee Reese once came to Robinson's defense with the famous line, "You can hate a man for many reasons. Color is not one of them." In 1947 or 1948, Reese is said to have put his arm around Robinson in response to fans who shouted racial slurs at Robinson before a game in Boston or Cincinnati. A statue by sculptor William Behrens, unveiled at Keyspan Park on November 1st, 2005, depicts Reese with his arms around Robinson. Jewish baseball star Hank Greenberg, who had to deal with ethnic epithets during his career, also encouraged Robinson. Following the incident where Greenberg collided with Robinson at first base, he whispered a few words into Robinson's ear, which Robinson later characterized as words of encouragement. Greenberg had advised him to overcome his critics by defeating them in games. Robinson also talked frequently with Larry Doby, who endured his own hardships, once becoming the first black player in the American League with the Cleveland Indians. As the two spoke to one another via telephone, throughout the season, Robinson finished the season having played 151 games for the Dodgers, with a batting average of .297, an on-base percentage of .383, and a .427 slugging percentage. He had 175 hits, scoring 125 runs, including 31 doubles, 5 triples, and 12 home runs, driving in 48 runs for the year. Robinson led the league in sacrifice hits with 28 and stolen bases with 29. His cumulative performance earned him the inaugural Major League Baseball Rookie of the Year award. Separate National and American League Rookie of the Year honors were not awarded until 1949. The Red Round says, the old vodka of the water bottle trick. Oh, come on. You accusing me of getting a little tipsy here? No. It is my water in my Starbucks cup, though. In case you're wondering. It was full when I started. I might have to get a refill at one point. Probably, too, because I'm a little bit wore out. My wife made me cut the grass this morning before I started my stream. My lawnmower was acting up yesterday when I did the front lawn, and so I gave it a rest last night, and this morning I got up and cut the backyard. The backyard is 3 times as big as the front yard. So yeah, I'll admit I might have halfway dozed off during a paragraph or two here so far, but we'll continue on. And no, I don't drink vodka. Alright. MVP congressional testimony and film biography of Jackie Robinson took place in 1948 to 1950. Following Stanky's trade to the Boston Braves in March of 1948, Robinson took over second base, where he logged a .980 fielding percentage that year, the second in the National League at the position, fractionally behind Stanky. Robinson had a batting average of .296 and 22 stolen bases for the season. In a 12-7 win against the St. Louis Cardinals on August 29, 1948, he hit for the cycle, a home run, a triple, a double, and a single in the same game. The Dodgers briefly moved into first place in the National League in late August of 1948, but ultimately finished as the Braves went on to win the league title and lose to the Cleveland Indians in the World Series. Oh, there you Thanks there, Tinder. You need some more Patreons so I can get a landscaper. That would be nice. I don't think I'll ever make it up into the big leagues, though. I'll just keep plugging away and doing what I'm doing and enjoying what I'm doing. That makes it fun, right? But thanks for the encouragement there, Nerd. One day, probably when I'm getting really old and feeble, I'll be like John and Eric Jab. Well, John Jabs is smaller, but Eric's much bigger YouTube. And I don't know if I can buy all those cases that he breaks open. I know he can do it because he's got a good channel going on there, but racial pressure on Robinson eased in 1948 when a number of other black players entered the major leagues. Larry Doby, who broke the color barrier in the American League on July 5, 1947, just 11 weeks after Robinson, and Satchel Paige played for the Cleveland Indians, and the Dodgers had 3 other black players besides Robinson. In February of 1948, he signed a $12,500 contract equal to $133,016 today with the Dodgers. While a significant amount, this was less than Robinson made in the offseason from the vaudeville tour, where he answered preset baseball questions for a speaking tour of the South. Between the tours, he underwent surgery on his right ankle because of his off-season activities. Robinson reported to training camp 30 pounds overweight, and he lost weight during the training camp, but dieting left him weak at the plate. In 1948, Wendell Smith's book, Jackie Robinson, My Own Story, was released. In the spring of 1949, Robinson turned to Hall of Famer George Sisler, working as an advisor to the Dodgers for batting help. At Sisler's suggestion, Robinson spent hours at a batting tee, learning to hit the ball to right field. Sisler taught Robinson to anticipate a fastball, on the theory that it's easier to subsequently adjust to a slower curveball. Robinson also noted that Sisler showed me how to stop lunging, how to check my swing until the last fraction of a second. The tutelage helped Robinson raise his batting average from .296 in 1948 to .342 in 1949. In addition to his improved batting average, Robinson stole 37 bases that season, was second place in the league for both doubles and triples, and registered 124 runs batted in with 122 runs scored. For performance, Robinson earned the Most Valuable Player award for the National League. Baseball fans also voted Robinson as the starting second baseman for the 1949 All-Star Game, the first All-Star Game to include black players. That year, a song about Robinson by Buddy Johnson, Did You See Jackie Robinson Hit That Ball?, reached number 13 on the charts. Count Basie recorded a famous version. Ultimately, the Dodgers won the National League pennant, but lost in 5 games to the New York Yankees in the 1949 World Series. Summer of 1949 brought an unwanted distraction for Robinson. In July, he was called to testify before the United States House of Representatives Committee on Un-American Activities, the HUAC. concerning statements made that April by black athlete and actor Paul Robeson. Robinson was reluctant to testify, but he eventually agreed to do so, fearing it might negatively affect his career if he declined. In 1950, Robinson led the National League in double plays made by a second baseman with 33. His salary that year was the highest any Dodger had been paid to that point, $35,000, $371,929 in 2019 dollars. He finished the year with 99 runs scored, a .328 batting average, and 12 stolen bases. The year saw the release of a film biography of Robinson's life, The Jackie Robinson Story, in which Robinson played himself, and actress Ruby Dee played Rachel Ray Isam Robinson. The project had been previously delayed when the film's producers refused to accede to demands of two Hollywood studios that the movie included scenes of Robinson being tutored in baseball by a white man. The New York Times wrote that Robinson, doing that rare thing of playing himself in the picture's leading role, displays a calm assurance and composure that might be envied by many a Hollywood star. Robinson's Hollywood exploits, however, did not sit well with Dodgers co-owner Walter O'Malley, who referred to Robinson as Ricky's prima donna. In late 1950, Ricky's contract as the Dodgers team president expired. Weary of constant disagreements with O'Malley and with no hope of being reappointed as president of the Dodgers, Ricky cashed out his one-quarter financial interest in the team, leaving O'Malley in full control of the franchise. Ricky shortly thereafter became general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Robinson was disappointed at the turn of events and wrote a sympathetic letter to Ricky, whom he considered a father figure, stating, "Regardless of what happens to me in the future, it can all be placed on what you have done, and believe me, I appreciate it." Pennant races and outside interests from 1951 through 1953. All right, before the 1951 season, O'Malley reportedly offered Robinson the job of manager of the Montreal Royals, effective at the end of Robinson's playing career. O'Malley was quoted in the Montreal Standard saying, "Jackie told me he would be both delighted and honored to tackle this managerial post," although reports differed as to whether a position was ever formally offered. During the 1951 season, Robinson led the National League in double plays made by a second baseman for the second year in a row with 137. He also kept the Dodgers in contention for the 1951 pennant. During the last game of the regular season, the 13th inning, he had a hit to tie the game, and then hit a home run in the 14th inning, which proved to be the winning margin. This forced a best-of-3 playoff series against the crosstown rival New York Giants. Despite Robinson's regular season heroics, on October 3rd, 1951, the Dodgers lost Bobby Thompson's famous home run, known as the shot heard around the world. Overcoming his dejection, Robinson dutifully observed Thompson's feet to ensure he touched all the bases. Dodgers sportscaster Vince Scully later noted that the incident showed how much of a competitor Robinson was. He finished the season with 106 runs scored, batting average of .335, and 25 stolen bases. Robinson had what was an average year for him in 1952. He finished the year with 104 runs, a .308 batting average, and 24 stolen bases. He did, however, record a career-high on-base percentage of .436. The Dodgers improved on their performance from the year before, winning the National League pennant before losing the 1952 World Series to the New York Yankees in 7 games. That year on television, on the television show Youth Wants to Know, Robinson challenged the Yankees general manager George Weiss on the racial record of his team, which had yet to sign a black player. Sports writer Dick Young, whom Robinson had described as a bigot, said, if there was one flaw in Jackie, it was a common one. He believed that everything unpleasant that happened to him happened because of his blackness. The 1952 season was the last year Robinson was an everyday starter at second base. Afterward, Robinson played variously at first, second, and third bases, shortstop, and the outfield with Jim Gallium, another black player, taking over everyday second base duties. Robinson's interest began to shift toward the prospect of managing a major league team. He had hoped to gain experience by managing the Puerto Rican Winter League, but according to the New York Post, Commissioner Happy Chandler denied that request. In 1953, Robinson had 109 home runs, a .329 batting average, and 17 steals, leading the Dodgers to another National League pennant and another World Series loss to the Yankees. This time in 6 games. Robinson's continued success spawned a string of death threats. He was not dissuaded, however, from addressing racial issues publicly. That year, he served as editor for Our Sports magazine, a periodical focusing on Negro sports issues. Contributions to the magazine included an article on golf course segregation by Robinson's old friend Joe Louis. Robinson also openly criticized segregated hotels and restaurants that served the Dodger organization. A number of these establishments integrated as a result, including the 5-star Chase Park Hotel. I had an interruption there. In 1954, and then the World Championship and retirement in 1954 through 1956. In 1954, Robinson had 62 runs scored, a .311 batting average, and 7 steals. His best day at the plate was on June 17th when he hit 2 home runs and 2 doubles. The following autumn, Robinson won his only championship when the Dodgers beat the New York Yankees in the 1955 World Series. Although the team enjoyed ultimate success, 1955 was the worst year of Robinson's individual career. He hit .256 and stole only 12 bases. The Dodgers tried Robinson in the outfield as a third baseman, both because of his diminishing abilities and because Gilliam was established at second base. Robinson, then 37 years old, missed 49 games and did not play in Game 7 of the World Series. Robinson missed the game because manager Walter Alston decided to play Gilliam at second and Don Hoke at third. That season, the Dodgers' Don Newcomb became the first black major league pitcher to win 20 games in a year. In 1956, Robinson had 61 runs scored, a .275 batting average, and 12 steals. By then, he had begun to exhibit the effects of diabetes and to lose interest in the prospect of playing or managing professional baseball. Robinson ended his major league career when he struck out to end the Game 7 of the 1956 World Series. After the season, the Dodgers traded Robinson to arch-rival New York Giants for Dick Littlefield and $35,000 cash, equal to $329,137 today. The trade, however, was never completed. Unbeknownst to the Dodgers, Robinson had already agreed with the president of Chuck Full of Nuts to quit baseball and become an executive with the company. Since Robinson had sold exclusive rights to any retirement story to Look magazine 2 years previously, his retirement decision was revealed through the magazine instead of through the Dodgers organization. Then we have Jackie Robinson's legacy. Robinson's major league debut brought an end to approximately 60 years of segregation in professional baseball, known as the baseball color line. After World War II, several other forces were also leading the country toward increased equality for blacks, including their accelerated migration to the North, where their political clout grew, and President Harry Truman's desegregation of the military in 1948. Robinson breaking and demonstrated that the fight for equality was more than simply a political matter. Martin Luther King Jr. was a legend and a symbol in his own time, and that he challenged the dark skies of intolerance and frustration. According to the historian Doris Kearns Goodwin, Robinson's efforts were a monumental step in the civil rights revolution in America, and his accomplishments allowed black and white Americans to be more respectful and open to one another and more appreciative of everyone's abilities. Sorry. I had a phone call and then they left a voicemail. All right, so Robinson's major league... Beginning his major league career at the relatively advanced age of 28, he played only 10 seasons from 1947 to 1956. All of them for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And then during his career, the Dodgers played 6 World Series, and Robinson himself played in all 6 All-Star games. In 1999, he was posthumously named the Major League Baseball All-Century Team. Robinson's career, generally considered to mark the beginning of the post-long ball era in baseball, in which a reliance on raw power hitting gave way to balanced offensive strategies that used foot speed to create runs through aggressive base running. Robinson exhibited the combination of hitting ability and speed which exemplified the new era. He scored more than 100 runs in 6 of his 10 seasons, averaging more than 110 runs from 1947 to 1953, had a .311 career batting average, a .409 career on-base percentage, and a .474 slugging percentage, and substantially more walks than strikeouts, 740 to 291. Robinson was one of only 2 players during the span of 1947 to 1956 to accumulate at least 125 steals while registering a slugging percentage of over .425. Minnie Minoso was the other. He accumulated 197 stolen bases in total, including 19 steals of home. None of the latter were double steals, in which a player stealing home is assisted by a player stealing another base at the same time. Robinson has been referred by Arthur David Faulkner as the father of modern-day stealing. Historical statistical analysis indicates Robinson was an outstanding fielder throughout his 10 years in Major League Baseball, and virtually every position he played. After playing his rookie season at the first base, Robinson spent most of his career as a second baseman. He led the league in fielding among second basemen in 1950 and 51, and toward the end of his career, he played about 2,000 innings at third base and about 1,175 innings in the outfield, excelling in both. Accessing himself, Robinson said, "I'm not concerned with your liking or disliking me, and I ask that you respect me as a human being." Regarding Robinson's qualities on the field, Leo DeRocha said, You want a guy that comes to play? This guy don't just come to play, he comes to beat you. He comes to the stuff he comes to stuff that bat right up your butt. Interesting. Then a little bit about his post-baseball life. Robinson once told the future Hall of Fame inductee Hank Aaron that the game of baseball is great, but the greatest thing is what you do after your career is over. Robinson retired from baseball at age 37 on January 5th, 1957. Later that year, after he complained of the numerous physical ailments, he was diagnosed with diabetes, a disease that also affects his brothers. Although Robinson adopted an insulin injection regimen, the state of medicine at the time could not prevent the continued deterioration of Robinson's physical condition from the disease. In October 1959, Robinson entered the whites-only waiting room at the Greenville Municipal Airport. Airport police asked Robinson to leave, but he refused. At a National Association for the Advancement of Colored People speech in Greenville, South Carolina, Robinson argued complete freedom and encouraged black citizens to vote and to protest their second-class citizenship. The following January, approximately 1,000 people marched on New Year's Day to the airport, which was desegregated shortly thereafter. In his first year of eligibility for the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1962, Robinson encouraged voters to consider rather than his cultural impact on the game. He was elected on the first ballot, becoming the first black player inducted into the Cooperstown Museum. In 1965, Robinson served as an analyst for ABC's Major League Baseball Game of the Week telecasts, the first black person to do so. In 1966, Robinson was hired as the general manager for the short-lived Brooklyn Dodgers of the Continental Football League. In 1972, he served as a part-time commentator on the Montreal Expos telecasts. On June 4th, 1972, the Dodgers retired his uniform number 42, alongside those of Roy Campanella, Sandy Koufax. From 1957 to 1964, Robinson was the vice president for the personnel at Chuck-full-o-Nuts. He was the first black person to serve as vice president of a major American corporation. Robinson as advancing the cause of black people in commerce and industry. Robinson also chaired the NAACP's $1 Million Freedom Fund drive in 1957 and served on the organization's board until 1967. In 1964, he helped found the Harlem businessman Dunbar McLaurin Freedom National Bank, a black-owned and operated commercial bank based in Harlem. He also served as the bank's first chairman of the board. In 1970, Robinson established the Jackie Robinson Construction Company to build housing for low-income families. Robinson was active in politics throughout his post-baseball life. He identified himself as a political independent, although he held conservative opinions on several issues, including the Vietnam War. He once wrote to Martin Luther King Jr. to defend the Johnson administration's military police. After supporting Richard Nixon in his 1960 presidential race against John F. Kennedy, Robinson later praised Kennedy effusively for his stance on civil rights. Robinson was angered by conservative Republican opposition to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He became one of 6 national directors for Nelson Rockefeller's unsuccessful campaign to be nominated as the Republican candidate for the 1964 presidential election. After the partly nominated Senator Barry Goldwater of Arizona instead, Robinson left the party's convention commenting that he now had a better understanding of how it must have been and felt to be a Jew in Hitler's Germany. He later became special assistant for community affairs when Rockefeller was elected governor of New York in 1966, switching his allegiance to the Democrats. He subsequently supported Hubert Humphrey against Nixon in 1968. Robinson protested against the Major League's ongoing lack of minority managers and central office personnel, and he turned down an invitation to appear in an old-timers game at Yankee Stadium in 1969. He made his final public appearance on October 15th, 1972, throwing the ceremonial first pitch before Game 2 of the World Series at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. He gratefully accepted a plaque honoring the 25th anniversary of his MLB debut, but also commented, "I'm going to be tremendously more pleased and more proud when I look at that third base coach line one day and see a black face managing in baseball." This wish was only fulfilled after Robinson's death. Following the 1974 season, the Cleveland Indians gave their managerial post to Frank Robinson, no relation to Jackie, a Hall of Fame-bound player who would go to manage 3 other teams. Despite the success of these 2 Robinsons and other black players, the number of African-American players in Major League Baseball has declined since the 1970s. Right, family, life, and death. After Robinson's retirement from baseball, his wife Rachel Robinson pursued a career in academic nursing. She became an assistant professor at the Yale School of Nursing and director of nursing at the Connecticut Mental Health Center. She also served in the board of the Freedom National Bank until it closed in 1990. She and Jackie had 3 children: Jackie Robinson Jr., 46 to 71, Sharon Robinson, born 1950, and David Robinson, born in 1952. You pop in the chat quick. Bobby Catalano, how you doing? Long time no see. I apologize for that. No problem, Bobby. It's nice to see you back in the stream. Thanks for popping in here with us. It has been a while since we have seen Bobby, but welcome back to the live. Appreciate you being here. We continue on with our biography here. So Robinson's eldest son, Jackie Robinson Jr., had emotional trouble during his childhood and entered special education at an early age. He enrolled in the Army in search of a disciplined environment, served in the Vietnam War, and was wounded in action on November 19, 1965. After his discharge, he struggled with drug problems. Robinson Jr. eventually completed the treatment program at the Daytop Village in Seymour, Connecticut, and became a counselor at the institution. On June 17, 1971, he was killed in an automobile accident at age 24. The experience with the son's drug addiction turned Robinson Sr. into an avid anti-drug crusader toward the end of his life. Robinson did not long outlive his son. Complications from heart disease and diabetes weakened Robinson and made him almost blind by middle age. On October 24, 1972, Robinson died of a heart attack at his home on 95 Cascade Road in North Stamford, Connecticut. He was 53 years old. Robinson's funeral service on October 27, 1972, at Upper Manhattan's Riverside Church in Morningside Heights attracted 2,500 mourners. Many of his former teammates and other famous baseball players served as pallbearers, and the Reverend Jesse Jackson gave the eulogy. Tens of thousands of people lined the subsequent procession route to Robinson's interment site at Cypress Hills Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York, where he was buried next to his son Jackie and mother-in-law Zellie Issam. 25 years after Robinson's death, the Interborough Parkway was renamed Jackie Robinson Parkway in his memory. The parkway bisects the cemetery in close proximity to Robinson's gravesite. After Robinson's death, his widow founded the Jackie Robinson Foundation, and she remains an officer as of 2018. On April 15, 2008, she announced that in 2010 the foundation would open a museum devoted to Jackie in Lower Manhattan. Robinson's daughter, Sharon, became a midwife, educator, director of educational programming for MLB, and the author of 2 books about her father. His youngest son, David, who has 6 children, is a coffee grower and social activist in Tanzania. All right. So let me go through one more section here, his awards and recognition. According to a poll conducted in 1947, Robinson was the second most popular man in the country behind Bing Crosby. Okay. In 1999, he was named by Time on its list of the 100 most influential people in the 20th century. Also in 1999, he ranked number 44 on the Sporting News Life. On the Sporting News list of baseball's 100 greatest players, and was elected to the Major League Baseball All-Century team as a top vote-getter and among second baseman baseball writer Bill James of the new Bill James Historical Baseball Abstract ranked Robinson as the 32nd greatest player of all time strictly on the basis of his performance on the field, noting that he was one of the top players of the league throughout his career. Robinson was among the 25 charter members of UCLA's Athletics Hall of Fame in 1984. In 2002, Molefi Kete Asante included Robinson on his list of 100 greatest African Americans. Robinson has also been honored by the United States Postal Service on 3 separate postage stamps in 1982, 1999, and 2000. All right, the city of Pasadena has recognized Robinson in several ways. Brookside Park, situated next to the Rose Bowl, featured a baseball diamond and a stadium named Jackie Robinson Field. The city's Human Services and Recreation Department operates the Jackie Robinson Center, a community outreach center that provides health services. In 1997, a $320,000 bronze sculpture equal to $517,615 today by artists Ralph Helmick, Stu Schechter, and John Otterbridge, depicting oversized 9-foot busts of Robinson and his brother Mac, was erected at Garfield Avenue across from the main entrance of Pasadena City Hall. A granite footprint lists multiple donors to the commission project, which was organized by the Robinson Memorial Foundation and supported by members of the Robinson family. Major League Baseball has honored Robinson many times since his death. In 1987, both the National and American League Rookie of the Year awards were renamed the Jackie Robinson Award. In honor of the first recipient, Robinson's Major League Rookie of the Year award in 1947 encompassed both leagues. On April 15, 1997, Robinson's jersey number 42 was retired through Major League Baseball. The first time any jersey number had been retired throughout one of the 4 major American sports leagues. Under the terms of the retirement, a grandfather clause allowed the handful of players who wore the number 42 to continue doing it in tribute to Robinson until such time as they subsequently changed teams or jersey numbers. This affected players such as the Mets' Butch Haskey and Boston's Mo Vaughn. The Yankees' Mario Rivera, who retired at the end of the 2013 season, was the last player in Major League Baseball to wear jersey number 42 on a regular basis. Since 1997, only Wayne Gretzky's number 99, retired by the National Hockey League in 2000, has been retired league-wide. There have been have also been calls for Major League Baseball to retire number 21 league-wide in honor of Roberto Clemente, a sentiment opposed by the Robinson family. An exception to the retired number policy, MLB began honoring Robinson by allowing players to wear number 42 on April 15th, Jackie Robinson Day, which is an annual observance that started in 2000. For the 60th anniversary of Robinson's Major League debut, MLB invited players to wear the number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day in 2007. The gesture was originally the ideal of outfielder Ken Griffey Jr., who sought Rachel Robinson's permission to wear the number. After Griffey received her permission, Commissioner Bud Selig not only allowed Griffey to wear the number, but also extended an invitation to all Major League teams to do the same. Ultimately, more than 200 players wore number 42, including the entire roster of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Mets, the Houston Astros, the Philadelphia Phillies, the St. Louis Cardinals, the Milwaukee Brewers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The tribute was continued in 2008 when, during the games on April 15th, all members of the Mets, Cardinals, Washington Nationals, and Tampa Bay Rays wore Robinson's number 42. On June 25th, 2008, MLB installed a new plaque for Robinson at the Baseball Hall of Fame, commemorating his off-the-field impact on the game as well as playing statistics. In 2009, all of Major League Baseball's uniformed personnel, including players, wore number 42 on April 15th. This tradition was continued every year since that date. Almost done. A few more paragraphs to go. Oh, you're welcome there, Bobby. Sorry. I should have said that earlier when I looked over there. But let me refresh the chat again so I know where we left off with Bobby's thanks. All right. So at the November 2006 groundbreaking for Citi Field, the new ballpark for the New York Mets, was announced that the main entrance, modeled on one of the Brooklyn's old Ebbets Field, would be called Jackie Robinson's Rotunda. The rotunda was designated at the opening of Citi Field on April 16, 2009. It honors Robinson with large quotations spanning the inner curve of the facade and features a large freestanding statue of his number 42, which has become an attraction in itself. Mets owner Fred Wilpon announced that the Mets, in conjunction with Citigroup and the Jackie Robinson Foundation, will create a Jackie Robinson Museum and Learning Center located at the headquarters of the Jackie Robinson Foundation at 1 Hudson Square along Canal Street in Lower Manhattan. Along with the museum, scholarships will be awarded to young people who live by and embody Jackie's ideals. The museum hopes to open by 2020 at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. A statue of Robinson was introduced in 2017. The New York Yankees honor Robinson with a plaque in Monument Park. Since 2004, Aflac, National High School Baseball Player of the Year, has been presented the Jackie Robinson Award. And Robinson also has been recognized outside of baseball. In December 1956, the NAACP recognized him with a Spingarn Medal, which it awards annually for the highest achievement by an African American. President Ronald Reagan presumptuously awarded Robinson the Presidential Medal of Freedom on March 28, 1984, and on March 2, 2005, President George W. Bush gave Robinson's widow the Congressional Gold Medal, the highest civilian award bestowed by Congress. Robinson was only the second baseball player to receive the award after Robert Clemente. On August 20th, 2007, California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and his wife, Maria Shriver, announced that Robinson was inducted into the California Hall of Fame, located at the California Museum for History, Women, Arts, and in San Francisco. A number of buildings that have been named in Robinson's honor. The UCLA Bruins baseball team plays in Jackie Robinson Stadium, which, because of the efforts of Jackie's brother Mac, features a memorial statue of Robinson by sculptor Richard H. Ellis. The stadium also unveiled a new mural of Robinson by Mike Sullivan on April 14, 2013. I will catch you later. Great reading, Donald. Take care and stay safe. Oh, no problem, Bobby. Thanks for stopping by. I really do appreciate you being here. All right. On April 14, 2013, City Island Ballpark, Daytona Beach, Florida, was renamed Jackie Robinson Ballpark in 1990, and a statue of Robinson with two children stands in front of the ballpark. His wife, Rachel, was present for the dedication on September 15, 1990. A number of facilities, Pasadena City College, successor to PJC, are named in Robinson's honor, including Robinson Field, a football, soccer, track facility named jointly for Robinson and his brother Mac. The New York public school system has named a middle school after Robinson, and Dorsey High School plays at a Los Angeles football stadium named after him. In 1976, his home in Brooklyn, the Jackie Robinson House, was declared a National Historic Landmark. Brooklyn residents want to turn his home into a city landmark. Robinson also has an asteroid named after him. Number 4319 is Jackie Robinson. All one word, with the numbers 4319 in front. In 1997, the United States Mint issued a Jackie Robinson commemorative silver dollar, a $5 gold coin. The same year, New York City renamed the Interborough Parkway in his honor. A statue of Robinson at Journal Square Transportation Center in Jersey City, New Jersey, was dedicated in 1998. Then in 2011, the United States placed a plaque at Robinson Montreal home to honor the ending of segregation in baseball. The house at 8232 Avenue D, Gaspé near Jerry Park, was Robinson's residence when he played for the Montreal Royals during 1946. In a letter read during the ceremony, Rachel Robinson, Jackie's widow, wrote, "I remember Montreal and that house very well, and have always had warm feelings for that great city. Before Jack and I moved to Montreal, we had just been through some very rough treatment in the racially biased South during some spring training in Florida. In the end, Montreal was the perfect place for him to get his start. We never had a threatening or unpleasant experience there. The people were so welcoming and saw Jack as a player and as a man." On November 22, 2014, UCLA announced that it would officially retire the number 42 across all university sports effective immediately. While Robinson wore several different numbers during his UCLA career, the school chose 42 because it had become indelibly identified with him. The only sport that did not affect was men's basketball, which had previously retired the number for Walt Hazzard, although Kevin Love was actually the last player in the sport to wear 42 with Hazzard's blessing. In a move paralleling that of Major League Baseball, when it retired the number, UCLA allowed 3 athletes in women's soccer, softball, and football who were already wearing 42 to continue to do so for the remainder of their UCLA careers. The school also announced it would prominently display the number at all of its athletic venues. And then a jersey that Robinson brought home with him after his rookie season ended in 1947 was sold at auction for $2.0 $1.05 million on November 18, 2017, and the price was the highest ever paid for a post-World War II jersey. So there you have it. The biography for... That's weird. The biography for Jackie Robinson. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. Do my refresh on my chat here, and let's see, today is the 14th. Okay, I want to do two things really quick here. I'm going to do two things really quick. Add a few people onto my wheel of names here. Got that. I've got I gotta throw Cardinals fan 1990. You still in the chat? Just kind of curious. Okay, and then Bobby just took off a little bit ago because most of you guys all stuck with me throughout today's stream for the most part. Boom. Okay, just added a few more names to our drawing. Live stream hosts prerogatives. So, since we only have about 3 people streaming in here, I think I'm going to wait. Maybe I'll wait and open my next box later in the week. My next hobby box. Since, let's see, I've been gone for pretty close to 2 hours, primarily on the Jackie Robinson biography. Hopefully, Cards in My Car with R. Posada, or is it R. Posada, Cards in My Car? I did this in honor of him today. He had requested I do Jackie Robinson, so I wanted to get that in the books for him. So, once again, a little preview and highlight for tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be doing the 1997 Topps Baseball card set, which contains 495 cards. Back in the day when they did have the strike, they did kind of scrunch things down into smaller series. And then, of course, over time, they did start expanding and bringing them back up into the 790 range. So that's where we are right now. So since there's only like 2 or 3 people in the stream right now, I'm going to delay and probably take that off of the title. I'll reintegrate and rename the title of this stream as just Baseball Player Biography, Jackie Robinson. Do have 2 reservations for the mystery pack so far that will be opening at a later date. Most likely, what I might just do is take pre-reservations, pre-sales for everything that's included there. Let me just lay this down here on my new signage there, so you guys can see that there. And oh, don't need that one. Oh, there it is. There's my other sheet, and I am looking forward to. Me personally, July 24th. July 24th is gonna be. I think it's going to be the 23rd and 24th, right around that time frame for opening day, part 2. I'll say it's opening day, part 2. Of course, the Seattle Mariners are starting their home opener, or their season opening on the field in Houston and then Los Angeles, and then we play our first home game against Oakland on the 31st of July. But the 24th of July will be, looks like they're only going to have, like, through the 60 game season, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going to have about 7 games off, 7 days off during that whole time frame. But pretty cool nonetheless. But we will be opening one hopefully for Left Behind and Robert Posada. Do have 2 mystery bags reserved. So, but I do have plenty of spots open here. If you do want to reserve a mystery bag, all you have to do is email me or let me know in the chat. Get my attention in the chat. Make sure you highlight my name when you put it in there so I can see it and make it stand out more. But other than that, I think that's about all I've got for today. What I'm going to do is my usual fashion for saying goodbye on the channel. I'm going to turn the camera around, and then you guys can we can go ahead and get ready to say goodbye for today. So again, I'm not going to open up the hobby box in lieu of just only 2 people in here. I think it's probably Tenert Red Rob and Cardinals fan 1990 might be the only 2 in here. Let me check, see what it shows for participants right now. Actually, it only shows me. Maybe everybody else is left. Is anybody else in here with me? Probably just me. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to say goodbye, that's for sure. And go ahead and sign off for today. So, sorry about that. I was staring at the chat, making sure I didn't miss anybody. But this has been Donald Blondell, Hall of Fame veteran, sports cards and collectible. Coming to you live with the start of a new week. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'll show you. I can't really go down. Let me scooch up. There we go. That's my shirt I wear on my player biographies. Edgar, Randy, Ichiro, and Ken. The way I adjusted my phone when it displays does not allow me to turn it down as much, so I had to jump up, get it into view. My t-shirt, so you know what t-shirt I wear on Tuesdays. Keep those things in mind for trivia down the road. Okay. I do like doing trivia type questions for different giveaways and such. So, and then whoever pops it into the chat whenever I do one of those, you'll be ready for my regular channel viewers. All right. So other than that, I'm going to readjust this down real quick. So when I turn it around, you're back on the brake mat there. Go ahead and get this lined up. All right. So you guys have a great and wonderful day out there. We will see you guys around the channels. And you never know, a channel near you, Bobby Catalano, Tenert Red Rob, well, I don't think he's done videos yet. I think Cardinals fan. Let's see, who else did we did have somebody else in earlier, didn't we? Oh yeah, John Fishman. John Fishman was here. But yes, we will go to town here next. And tomorrow we will go on to our 1997 baseball card set. And we will see. Maybe we'll give it another roll tomorrow. I'll see if we get more than 10 people in the stream when I get ready to do a box opening. Again, we have to have at least 10 people watching. That's not too unrealistic to ask for my channel subscribers. But I'm going to go ahead and get ready to say goodbye. You guys have a great day. And we will see you all tomorrow, okay? Bye for now, and have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday.